All right, good evening, everybody. We are back again with another edition of our Monday HR Happy Hour series. We are officially partners of the Greater Miami Society of Human Resource Managers, the Human Resource of Broward County, as well as the HR Palm Beach County Associations. And really, really excited tonight, to be hearing Norm Baker speaking on HR's role in business development as a way to surface HR interviews. A very, very intriguing headline that he brought forth for us this evening. Really excited about that. But first, I want to go kind of around the room. If everybody can just say, hi, my name is, and maybe a sentence, not more than two, about what you'd like to take away from your next 30 or 40 minutes that we share together here tonight. So let's start out with, how about you, Karen? Take it away, Karen. Tell us a little bit about, your name and what you'd like to take away from tonight's event.
All right. My name is Karen Hegel. I'm a HR professional in transition, so I am actively job seeking. And as with my last couple of HR happy hours, I've taken a lot of ideas and just the same thing. I continue that and see what other HR professionals are doing out there in the world of human resources. So.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, Karen. I am now going to throw, wait a minute, I got to get my controls back. Okay, how about over to Fran? Say hello, Fran.
Hello, I'm Francine Pretty. I'm a PHR and also an HR professional in transition. I look forward to these Monday night happy hours. It's quite a bit of an inspiration and a little bit of a kick. What I'd like to take away from this is another line on other job opportunities and an opportunity to continue my profession in human resources. So it's good to be here.
Excellent. Glad to have you. Faith, you're next.
Okay, my name is Faith Lee. I am a human resource and customer support professional. I am presently employed, but I'm seeking another opportunity, and I'm hoping to continue to learn from Norm this evening.
Awesome, awesome. Rula, let's hear it. I might not be able to throw you up on the screen, but give it a shot.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Rula. I'm an organizational development consultant. I am looking to take away some things that I can do differently and some tips that I can share with others.
Very good, and thank you. Norm, you want to? Oh. All right, I'm not sure whose camera that is, but I can mute anybody. If we start getting noise issues and you find yourself muted, it's because I'm problem solving, if you will, behind the scenes. So I'm going to bring on Norm and maybe the short story that Norm and I have now traversed through several brands together, or we've gone through several employers, and each time we've stayed in touch along the way. I can't ever forget the first time I picked up the phone to call Norm, and he didn't know me from Adam, but I saw him out there with almost it wasn't maybe an official blog, but it was messages to the HR community on how they could better themselves. And I'm going back, Norm, probably almost 7-8 years ago. And since then, he's been a continued, I want to say, thought leader, at least in my mind. You are that, Norm, and certainly somebody that gives and helps out his fellow HR people. So he's here tonight, and he's here again on his own time to bring a different kind of an angle to the HR job seeker threshold, if you will. And so with that, I'm going to throw it right back into Norm. Take it away.
Thank you, Mike. Really good to be here. I've known about this program that Mike has started for several years, and it's interesting. One of the things I had shared with Mike quite a bit ago is the brilliance of this program, not just to help HR people in transition, but it's a wonderful way for Mike to be known out there, and it works beautifully, and it's not unlike the theme that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. Just a little bit about my background. I'm, like probably all of you, I'm a career human resource professional. Started in 1990. And really, the first half of my HR career was with major companies, Exxon and American Express, and companies like that, where I followed the very traditional HR track, moving up the ranks, and it was a wonderful, wonderful foundation for me. In the last 2 or 3 companies I've been with, I found that either while I was looking for the opportunity and I was in transition, I was thinking about how can I differentiate myself from all the other very strong, very capable HR people that may be applying for that job. And then once I'm in the company, how can I differentiate myself from the traditional HR professional that some companies love and some people in the companies don't love, to make myself as indispensable as I can, and therefore, staying employed and continuing to add value with that. So let me focus on the separating oneself from the pack, and maybe offering and marketing some additional components, and that's what the theme is going to be. So, I'd like to say that we're going to primarily market ourselves as HR professionals because that's what we are, that's what we love, that's what we do, and that's what the opening probably is. But if we think about marketing as an HR professional plus, really, where is that plus? What is that plus? And while one could say, and you've heard the phrase, a business partner. Most of our resumes probably say business partner. Most of our elevator speeches say business partner. But in most cases, when we define business partner in that context, we're saying, as an HR professional, we really understand the business and can relate, and all those true but common phrases. So I'm going to talk about not just the, in some cases, stale-sounding phrase that we use, which is still on my resume of business partner, but being a true business partner. And that's where, as an HR person, we can bring in revenue, not just save money, which is traditionally what we've done. So how can we help make money for this potential employer, or once we get there, how can we make money for our employer? Particularly if they're not necessarily in the HR business. I'm now in the construction industry and looking to make money for my employer. The position I had before this was an HR outsourcing company, so there were more opportunities where some of these ideas were born. So why do this? Well, differentiate ourselves from other HR professionals for our competition in looking for these jobs. Enhance our security once we get the job. Really change the dynamics and perceptions of what are either hiring managers who are looking at us or colleagues once we get there, how they see HR, and add an additional dynamic to that. And in some cases, an opportunity to make some more money for yourself with commissions or bonuses beyond what we would have as a pure HR person. And there's some pretty compelling reasons I found to do this, and in 2 cases it helped me land the job that I may not have already gotten, including the current one I'm in. So how do we do this? It's really looking to use our HR expertise and add HR services in some cases to build client relations, and in other cases to add a revenue stream where it may not have been.
Hey
What am I
Norm.
talking about?
Hey Norm. I wanna do a little bit of housekeeping here. Bear with me. Sorry to barge in.
Yeah.
Is anybody having some audio problems listening to Norm?
Yes,
I-
he's
Yeah. Yes.
fading. He's fading in and out a little bit.
Yeah, just a hair bit. Okay, so Norm, here's a big question. I might have failed to prompt us on this one. Do you have a pair of earbuds?
Well, I have earbuds.
Yeah, any kind of a headset.
I don't think so. Not on me. No.
All right, we're gonna have to just kind of keep mustering through. Okay, carry on. Back at you.
Okay. If it helps for me to pause periodically, let me know.
Yeah, that's loud and clear there. Those words were fine.
Okay. So, what are some of these HR services that could be value added? Well, let's start with a common one, recruiting. What I said to my current employer, it said, our clients, in this case, they have been subcontractors or companies that want us to build buildings for them, they may not have an HR department of their own. Or if they do, it may not be very sophisticated. So why don't we offer them HR services and either charge them if we want to make a revenue stream, or don't charge them and make that a real added value of working with us, which you would have never thought of. So one way of doing that is say, hey, you periodically have recruiting needs. Maybe we help you with it and use our formidable HR team to help fill some jobs for you. That may be one way. What I did with one company, since I was doing a lot of recruiting in that company, and we would buy job postings from Career Builder and Monster, I would buy a block of job postings at a pretty big discount. And if you've ever bought lots of job postings from them, you know, you buy 100 and it costs you maybe a third of what an individual one would cost. And then I would simply offer clients, I'll post a job for you and give you an incredible discounted rate. So if they were going to pay $500 for one, again, they didn't have very many jobs to post throughout the year, so they weren't buying a block. But I'll do it for $300. I'll only charge you, and it might have cost me $100. I made $200 each time I did it, saved them $200, and everyone was thrilled. And Career Builder and Monster knew exactly what I was doing. They were fine with it, and it helped sell them job postings. Everyone was happy. Am I coming out fairly clear, or is it still distorted?
You were excellent until probably the sentence that you started with "Am I coming out clear?" is kind of funny. Was everybody else clear up to that last sentence too?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think the pausing for some reason is helping.
Okay, I'll do that. So in the recruiting world was one example where either offering to fill jobs or buying a bulk of job postings and reselling them either at cost or some profit. Then I got smart and I hooked up with some recruiting firms. They did the recruiting. And all I really did was hook up my clients with these recruiting firms that offered a very steep discount because I was delivering business to them. Passed this discount along to my clients. They were thrilled. In some cases, I made some money in between. In other cases, it was service to them. I know, Rula, you're in management development and training. You know, there's an arena there. Whether offering clients of the company the opportunity to do some training for them, leadership training, communications training, again, differentiated my company from our competitors, or in some cases, based on what we would, if we would charge them, was an additional revenue stream. I've trained many people over the years, have created many classes in leadership, communications, and other things, and rather than it sit on my shelf, I offered to use it as a competitive advantage, and my prospective employers loved it, and then when I got there, their clients loved it. Performance management, HR audits, compliance. You know, you all have an expertise of things that you've done in your career that are not proprietary, that there's a need for. And offering that to your prospective employers, saying, I can offer this to our clients, could give you a competitive advantage. One of the other advantages it offered, even if they turned out not to be interested, the potential employers, they heard me come across with an entrepreneurial spirit. They heard me come across as a business person, less as an HR person, who was thinking about revenue streams and competitive advantages, which is something they typically didn't hear from HR candidates. So even if they don't take you up on that, just keep your speak will differentiate you from many other HR professionals. So let me stop there for a moment. What kind of question before I go into potentially some other areas.
I have a question, Norm. This is Rula. I just, some clarification. I just want to make sure I understood you correctly. So basically what you're saying is you would go to any potential company or employer and offer services, like in my case, leadership development, training, organizational development. So what you're saying is are you relating that to somehow landing a job, or is this something is this something good to do in transition, or okay, I do that right now because I'm an OD consultant. I work on my own, so I do that. So I'm trying to differentiate what would make it different for me. Because I reach out to them, hey, I just want to let you know this is what I do, to the people I've connected with. So can you, am I on the right page? Am I understanding you? Did my question make sense?
It does. Let me clarify the piece of it. So let's say you want to get an in-house job with a great company.
Okay.
And you don't do it on your own anymore. One way to use this is saying to that company, not only can I be your management development professional and provide wonderful development and training to your company, but and let's make up a company. Let's say it's a retail retail store that has many locations. You can say to them, now, who are your key clients or suppliers or vendors that you'd like to enhance your relationship with? Clothing manufacturers or shipping companies. Why don't we go to them and offer them some management development services, even though we as this retail company, we're not in that business, but I am.
I see.
And I can offer your clients, your distributors, your vendors, some world-class leadership development as a perk of doing business with us, to give us as a retail company a competitive advantage over other retail companies that aren't even thinking about this. So that might help you, Rula, be a candidate for this in-house job, differentiate yourself against other HR or management development professionals who are only thinking in-house and are not thinking of revenue streams or client relationships or value add for the company itself outside of their internal employees.
Thank you. Perfect.
You're welcome. And even if, let's just stay with that, Rula, and even if you wanted to stay as an independent consultant, marketing yourself, not just providing management development services for that company, but representing that company, providing those services, again, for their clients.
Right.
And them becoming a differentiator among their clients, where not only do you get our engineering products or whatever that is, but if you need some management development services, we've got one of the best in the industry who we can provide you with just by doing business with us or at a discounted rate and bring the revenue stream in. A lot of companies don't think about that.
I love the idea. Thank you.
Welcome.
I think what might want to also be clarified is Norm used to work at a PEO, a professional employee organization, PEO supporting. So they had lots of different clients, and he was literally charging up a whole unique approach to HR support by creating some value-added products. But some of us that are working in a company that have, you've heard many HR people, here I'll take this out because it's hard to take me seriously. Yeah, okay. You've had many HR people refer to their department managers as customers or clients. Pretty common, right? Well,
Right.
what if there wasn't a transaction that those people would buy your recruiting services? But I mean, everybody at most companies will have a budget, and even if you just had like a point system or something to say, okay, listen, I'm supporting the recruiting, for example, for 7 departments. Each of you get 5 chips or 5 points, and use them when you have. But understand when they run up, potentially there's a I might have to treat some other ones. So sometimes the perceived value of an outlay increases the engagement between you and department heads, I think, is my one little point. Back to you, Norm. I'm probably way off tangent. I'm going to go back to my little. I'm going to get myself back underwater here.
Let me build on that. I don't know how many of you are familiar with an approach that IBM took some years ago, and they made HR Inc. Anybody familiar with that model? So what they did, and many companies have also done, is they made their HR, their internal HR, a fee for services internal function for all their internal divisions. If you wanted HR services, you had to pay for it. And that did some amazing things. It showed the value proposition of the internal HR function because the various divisions and departments were allowed to use an outside organization. So we'll take ULA as an example. If somebody had some management development needs, they could go to their HR department and buy management development services, or they could hire someone on the outside like ULA. So the internal HR function had to be very competitive and win the value proposition, very entrepreneurial in how they did it. It also funded the HR department because it was truly an exchange of fees. And so even in considering that concept as you're applying for HR roles, and I've done this in my past, and I said, look, I can't convince after a certain period of time my internal various departments to pay for my services, and I'm not worth it, and let me go.
Hey, Norm, we're back on that sluggish audio here.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna mute you for a second, Norm. I think that's yours. Mute for all. Okay. Let's see if everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Pull the camera up here. All right. So what we're going to do is a little bit of a backup, and Norm, you're not going to be muted forever. I definitely want to bring you back here shortly. Why don't we go around the room and ask each of us, and you can always pass. It's okay. Pass is okay. Ask each of us to describe a time where you, in an HR capacity, actually had to present an idea, and then maybe actually close the deal. kind of an open-ended question, but you know, I want to throw it out there so that we can kind of move around. First off, I'm not going to throw the camera at you. Anybody want to put a hand up and take the first charge on that? Anybody who presented an idea and then had to close the sale, get everybody to do what you were proposing?
Well, Mike, are you talking about whether we're internal or external, like even if we worked internally? Because when I worked internally, I had to do that all the time.
Either or. You know, I think internally would be really fitting for our forum here tonight.
Yeah, I know there were several times, so I'm trying to think of one particular time where I was designing an onboarding process for new hires, and we were having difficulty. Okay, so first of all, what do you want, Mike? Tell me, so I don't get into too much detail or too little. What are you looking for?
Okay, I think I'm going to need this again. All right, what we're looking for is, as an HR person in a past life or a current life, consultant, project, anytime you're being paid to give HR wisdom advice, that you presented an idea that ultimately you had to get everybody to buy into.
Yes.
Close the sale, and maybe there was a better use of budgets or funds, or maybe even created some level of positive revenue to existing budgets or resources.
Okay, so thank you for that. I like your outfit. So I did have to do it when I posed for the new onboarding process, new hire onboarding process. I posed something that we've heard of as a buddy system. So new hires get a buddy, and what I also posed was, because there was a list of things that the buddy had to do, go through training as one of them, and then a whole list of activities to help the new hire acclimate. We had like a 33% turnover rate among new hires. That costs a lot of money, you guys know. And so I proposed that we pay the buddy. So this was, you know, everything was fine until I said, and with all of this, we need to pay the buddy. And so, you know, everybody was up in arms about paying the buddy. How are we going to pay $500 as a bonus? It was called the buddy bonus. So how are we going to pay $500 for a buddy? And so we had to incentivize buddies, because it was extra activity, things they were doing that they didn't really. First of all, we chose the, you know, good employees. So here's probably the employees that are already being picked on for doing a good job, and now they're getting more work. And so I had to sell it to the senior leadership team, and especially finance, as you can imagine, on why it's so important. So I had to use the numbers of our first-year attrition and all of the work that is required by a buddy. And eventually it worked. We did get them to pay them $500 as a buddy bonus if the employee stayed. We had stipulations. They actually helped with that. That was good. So we worked as a partnership. So we had stipulations. You know, how long does the new hire have to stay, etc., in order for the employee to get the $500 bonus. And so it actually worked, and it's actually still in progress. It's still in the program is still in place. That's my example.
That's awesome. Norm, did you have any thoughts on that? We could test your microphone again.
How do I sound?
You sound great.
Well, that's a perfect example. Whether you're selling the buddy system, in fact, that was really cool, because you're asking them to spend money they hadn't planned on spending. Exactly that same approach of putting essentially a business plan together. What I needed to do in each of these programs and others, I put a business plan together. What the investment was, return on investment, the break-even time frame, risks. And so the more you approach it as a true business person, the more they will see you as a true business person. And I suspect you gave us the short version, but I'm guessing when you presented this, you had a lot of those components in there. Here's the advantage, here's what our return is, however you presented that. And that's really the key their language.
Right. Speaking their language, because it wasn't mine. You know, to me, it just made people sense. But I knew that I had to talk to the CFO. So exactly, Norm. That's exactly what we did.
So does anybody else have a story where they, let's just say, closed a sale in an HR capacity?
In my past, what I did was create a program for interviewing and then teach it to all of the management and leadership of the organization. So there'd be some type of systematic. Of course, our leaders were excellent and managers were excellent at what they do, but oftentimes we tend to hire people, or they did make some hiring mistakes. So to be able to streamline and hone in their interviewing techniques helped actually increase retention and reduce the turnover rate.
Okay, so I want to jump in behind Fran on that. So Fran, sounds wonderful. In the event that you tracked numbers, number of interviews, length of time between first contact and actual hire or the start, the metrics behind your story was missing in your first 30 seconds, if you will. Maybe you had them. But the point is, when we start bringing numbers, we become a little bit more, I want to say sales. I'm gonna use the word sales because we're using now quantitative data to speak to the CFO, if you will, in the CFO's language. And so, again, if you were to do that again, I think it'd be really important to have top 3 numbers and talk about them often, daily, and track them, so that when the output, the end result is there, you have some numbers. It says we decrease a cost per hire number that was at $700 less training, down just from the advertising down to 3 or whatever it be. So does anybody else have another similar story where they maybe were using numbers to track the results of a successful implementation in an HR capacity? Anyone? These long silent pauses mean we're going to have to go back to Norm, and Norm's going to have to, start playing. Okay, Norm, back to you.
That would be prize, having to listen to me.
It's a privilege, Norm. Come on.
So Mike's point is a huge one, and
Very good.
I'm sure you all know this, but to do it succinctly and well is huge. To have empirical data that's verifiable in case somebody wanted to verify it, right at your fingertips, both in a resume, in an elevator speech, and certainly in an interview. And in Fran's case, that would be right there as well.
Correct. I should say, I'm sorry.
That's a real key to speaking the business language, and have it measured. And one of the things I also encourage, this is a little bit off the thing, but do all of you have a portfolio? I mean, a literal physical portfolio as an artist would. Anybody?
No.
Well, what would be in that portfolio, Norm? Pictures?
What I mean by it is it could be a binder, okay? That if you take with you on an interview, for example, and it's got tabs and sections, and it's hard copy samples of many of your accomplishments. It could be the outline of a training program you created. It could be some of the metrics that we were just talking about with Fran. It could be we've done creative stuff and helped to put recruitment advertising together or whatever it might be. The more you can show physical, tangible examples of what you've accomplished, and therefore what you can deliver, less of a risk factor if it comes to the hiring person. If you can talk a great game, I can do this, I've done this, and for the most part you'll be believed. Show them and flip through this. Here are examples. Your credibility will skyrocket. Your professionalism at marketing yourself will differentiate you from 99% of your competitors who are applying for that same job.
Right.
And never too late. I'm sure all of you have boxes of junk that you've held on to for some years. Pull things together. Look in some hard drives. If it's not proprietary, that I don't want you to steal anything from past lives, but if you've got something, show it. It makes all the difference in the world. So I'm not sure how we got on that tangent, but that portfolio concept is a wonderful thing. When I interview people, and the rare person who has that is almost a shoo-in for the job.
Wow.
So, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going beyond just letters of reference, which is perfectly wonderful. Just examples of your work, so they see how you write, how you communicate, and see what you can produce. Fantastic tool that will separate you from the masses.
Hey, thanks, Norm. I'm gonna switch gears slightly and throw out there that on the HRInsideTrack.com, I was working on using Twitter as a viable HR job search tool, and I updated it, and I'm really proud of it. I'm gonna put the link in our chat, but I want you guys, if you're Twitter resistant, to take a look at it, because it's a map on how to turn Twitter into an HR job board, and a pretty powerful one. It has multiple dimensions, and I want to say it'll fast forward your Twitter learning curve. The powerful thing about this, and it really ties into our headline with Norm tonight, is that even when you're gainfully employed and happily employed, Twitter is a place potentially for you to think about your value proposition in your brand and what gets you excited on the job and what you're passionate about. And many of us don't put time into that. So kind of forging yourself into the world of Twitter will compel you, if you will, to think about your brand and who you are from a perspective of creating value to your C-suite and ultimately differentiating yourself and maybe escalating your consideration for expansion of your department or upward mobility for yourself. So that said, does anybody here have a question? Maybe for Norm. He's a VP of HR at Kaufman Link Construction. Gosh, I would even like to ask Norm, do you have an example of what you're doing over there at Kaufman that might be helpful for the people in the crowd, or even myself?
Sure. Well, I was actually hired to fundamentally create a culture of engagement, which we've all heard about, and it's we're not the only ones who have done that. But in building programs from small to large that are helping our employees feel that they're really part of something special. Here's one silly example. It just happened today. Employee was just got engaged, and not only did we send a little email out to the whole company, but gave them a $200 gift certificate for them. Now, I realize $200 isn't cheap, but in the grand scheme, it wasn't too much, and he's a kind of a hard-trusted construction guy, and the tears in his eyes, he verbally and he sent an email to the Mike Kaufman, who owns the company, and several of us, about just how much that meant to him. Never had that happen to him before. Just the fact that we would even acknowledge his engagement and do something like that, the value we get in terms of, we call it loyalty and retention in a very, very competitive market is amazing. And so these little things, as simple as that, the return on investment is 1,000-fold, and that just happened to me. So it's fresh on my mind, all the way to major, massive overhaul or programs from performance management and change management, etc. So that's why I'm getting a real kick out of it. Why I came here, a relatively small company in my past, but awfully fun to help a company grow and expand versus help them downsize.
Any other questions for Norm that might be unique to what you're looking for to take away or anything?
Oh, I love that. I love what you did. I think that's fabulous. It does make a difference.
One of the other things we just did, absolutely free, doesn't cost a penny. We call it Kaufman Lynn Rock Stars, and it's just a theme on a very common process where anyone in the company can give a rock star award to anybody else for anything. So you simply email a particular person who's in charge of it, who creates this rock star certificate, gets it to the person, sends it to the whole company so they all know about it, puts it up on this big rock star board, and people are thrilled. It costs nothing. And people are just sharing recognition with each other, again, to build up that camaraderie and that appreciation. And they're worth nothing, but they're worth a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'm going to offer a sample similar. I'm a little inspired here. So I have a nonprofit client that is engaged a worksite wellness program, about 105 or so eligible, and we moved the participation from 3% up to 75% in the last 6 months, and we did that with a zero budget. We've done a lot of different things. I won't go through it all. I do love worksite wellness, but what's interesting is the CEO and I are going to be washing the car of a winner who got their blood results up to a certain level and through the Humana Vitality system got up to a platinum or a gold status. And it doesn't cost money, but the point is we had to sell to these employees something that created change, created value for us. Employee engagement usually happens when there is an embracing of the wellness campaign within an organization. And you know what? On the day that the benefit broker and the CEO are outside in front of the offices actually washing that employee's car, that's going to be remarkable. And we had to sell that, and it's exciting. And we've done a bunch of other things, but that was just one small story. Anybody else have anything more for Norm before we wrap it up?
I have a quick question. How did you sell that to the CEO? Was that a cost savings for the wellness program?
Well, boy, what a wonderful question, Faith. Selling worksite wellness is not a deep dive conversation when you say, look at the executives, and are they running out the door every hour or three to do smoke breaks? Can you see them with McDonald's, bags in their trash can? Or if you look at your executives and you say, God, these people are healthy. Well, the CEO that I'll be watching, he runs 5Ks. The HR person also cares about that. So first you kind of set your lay of the land, and then you go in and you say, did you know that a more engaged workforce usually will operate at 4 times the operating margins of a largely disengaged workforce? And here's one way to really do that. And by the way, we can measure it. We can measure the amount of people that are participating. We can measure how far they're going. And oh, by the way, the naysayers that we expect will happen will create a budget, because we're going to do some premium differentials, and the Affordable Care Act says we can do that even more now than before the Affordable Care Act. And ultimately, we're going to negotiate with next year's carrier, be it Humana, United, or whoever, that we now have X amount of participation. We're a better risk. So the sale from a dollar's perspective is that we may, and we're probable for making an impact on your second and third and fourth year renewal negotiations with your carrier. So. Call me up anytime, Faith, and my goodness, well, I love that question. I do have the most amount of fun when I help my HR friends look really smart on the subject of health plan cost containment. And literally, you can't be smart and you can't sell something unless you have a couple good ideas, a couple back office resources, and I certainly aspire to do that. But listen, enough of me. I could probably talk us well past your patience and thresholds for listening to me. I'm going to wrap it up, but first I want to thank my longtime friend, Mr. Norm Banker. Let's give a round of applause for Norm. Smile, Norm. Another round. Yay. And all of you ladies, it's great having you back. Faith, good to see you. Please pop in again. And Rula, Tashania, Karen. If anybody might make it to the October 15th HRPBC event, it's our Best in HR Practices Awards, where we're going to actually reveal the 2015 HR Professional of the Year award from HRPBC, as well as the HR Volunteer of the Year award, and the HR Company or Professional Department of the Year award. And there's an interesting thing about wellness in that particular award that I was pretty happy to see come to fruition. But hey, enough of me. You guys, thank you. It was fun. Tell a friend that we're doing this. Let them know that we are actively helping people to have accelerated tools and resources while they're in transition. On that note, bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank